All right, guys, we are back, and we are now going to be working on the antiquing color wash. For this, I simply use water and a little bit of black paint. Now, of course, you're welcome to use a dark glaze if you want to, brown, black, whatever your preference is. I would recommend if you're going with like coral colors or something like that, maybe do a brown paint or glaze, whichever. For this specific look, the black seems to do best. Maybe you can also do a gray. It's all personal preference. What's the difference between glaze and doing a color wash? Glaze tends to have movability. And what makes it move is the products that are inside it that cause it to not dry. And because of that, we're going to be waiting on glaze before we can top coat. Personally, we have enough humidity where I live. I never want to give any reason for my piece to not dry as fast as I can get it to dry. Because if I ever need it to like slow down a little bit, I can always wet it down. So because of that, I just like using the color wash. In addition, I can also take an artist brush with my color wash and say I want to add a little bit more color in like little nooks and crannies. I can do that super easily. With glaze, I don't feel like you get quite as much liberty to do that because it's made to be transparent. So this is just my personal preference. Of course, if you want to do a glaze, go for it. For this approach, I'm going to be showing you though how to do a color wash over the whole thing to give it an antiqued look. So to start with, I've got my Wise Owl chalk paint or chalk synthesis paint in black. Can't say chalk paint, no. I've also got my water bottle, and here it is. I've got my favorite brush. And actually, before I begin, I actually just got my nails done for the first time in literally like 20 years. And so, to keep them from getting paint all over them and from the paint sticking, I've been taking the salve, the furniture salve, and I just brush it on a little bit on my nails. I'm hoping that's going to help. We'll see how long I can keep these bad boys looking decent. Okay, so first off, we're going to take a little bit of the black and place it into our little paint or whatever we want to use. Not much, a tiny little, bloop, that's it. What is that noise? Oh, roofers. Somebody's getting a new roof. And then I'm going to take my water bottle. The first thing that you want to do when doing this is go ahead and just wet down the entire surface. Now, because of that, you want to wait until either your piece has set for a day or two, or you have come in with like a heat gun or a hair dryer and really gotten the paint to just harden and cure just about. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem with it wanting to reconstitute and lift back up. And actually, time out. I'm going to back up a little bit because before we do that, we want to wipe this down. Remember, we just got done distressing and sanding over it. So I need to go ahead and just remove, in majority, any of the paint dust that is still kind of hanging out. That way it doesn't want to muddy up my black and make it more of a purple or whatever I'm going to get if I mix it through. Go here, like that. All right. So since we distressed, yes, we need to wipe it down some, make sure that the area that we're working on is free of paint dust of various colors that could cause us to get a different effect. Okay, now, water bottle. Make sure it's on mist rather than stream. Kind of like with blending, just make sure that the whole surface is kind of covered. Love seeing all these colors just pop that much more because we've wet it. So pretty. Get in there. All right. Now, I simply want to take the black, I'm going to put some on my brush, and I'm going to take almost all of it off. It's almost like the same technique as with dry brushing. You put the paint on, you take it off. Of course, it's going to continue to show black in some areas just because I've already got the water in there, so it's going to start to dilute itself. That's fine. So in that way, it's a little bit different than dry brushing, but as far as the amount of paint on your brush, very similar. And from here, we just begin working. Let's see. I've already done that, so actually, I'm going to wipe that away because I want you to be able to see the difference. Okay. Start laying it in there. And just like with glazing, you want it to kind of catch in those little crevices. So feel free to play with them. I love for it to kind of hang out with that gold. Now going back to the fact that we used the gold liquid leaf. Hold on one second. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Technically, the liquid leaf is kind of like a wax-based product, but because it does have so many solvents in it, or is so saturated in solvents and dries the way it does, it's going to harden to a point that you can actually paint over it and really not have a problem. And to be honest, if it decides that, you know, it wants to repel because like I've got a lot of the gold on there, that's fine too. It's really not that big of a deal. That'll end up wearing away as we continue to work. I kind of want you to see this a little bit more, but I'm not sure how well it's presenting on the camera. I'm going to work in the same direction as the little area that I'm working on. What'll happen too is that the areas that have been distressed to the point that it's actually wood, those are going to start to receive that paint a little bit more. So it's going to darken that wood. There. There we go. It's going to give it a smoky look. And if it gets to be a little bit too much, I'm going to take my rag and I start kind of just wiping away some. Whew, my nose is going. I don't know why. But it just gives everything a much deeper sense of dimension, color variation. Go into the gold. Place some of it in here. And again, if I need to, I can grab me a little artist brush or whatever and add the black into different areas if I need to. Otherwise, just take the little corner of your brush, and that works pretty well. Now in this area, this is going to be where people bump into it, grab it a bunch. So there may not be as much dirt accumulated there over time. Ooh. Brighten it up right there, brighten it right there. So pick and choose your little areas. I'm gonna, there we go, dry that off a little bit. And then it kind of goes back to how it was with the blending. You lay it, and then you begin to feather it. So, I wonder if I can turn it. I should have put the wheels on, huh? I always regret it whenever I don't. I'm going to turn it so that hopefully you can get a better sense of, there we go. This is not glare, that's the actual color of the paint. So you can see dark, light, dark, light. Yeah, that's not the shadowing or anything, that's the actual, this is the black side. part that's already been done. So that gives you some idea. Put that off. It's starting to dry at the bottom, so I'm going to actually spray it on the brush. I don't want to risk spraying up here because I've got that pretty much exactly how I want it. There we go. And I love this because you're able to add that kind of glazed look, that effect. And I don't know if you're a fan of that streaky look that you can get sometimes. I'm not so much. I don't care for the streaks. So this allows it to be kind of feathered in a little bit more subtly. I'm liking it, and see right here, I've got little areas that have accumulated a little bit extra. Like I said earlier, or in one of the past videos when we were blending, we've got the white that we laid up there, and then now we've got the black color wash going up in there. They just play together really well. Okay, now I'm going to spray up here. Drag it down. Spray the brush. Okay. A lot of it is just getting the pigments where you want them and then moving them around until they're blended and they look the way you want them to. You see the differences. I'll lay the black into this little gold crevice right here. Make sure it kind of goes in there enough. And then again at the top right here. Be careful to not scrub while you're doing this. While the paint is nice and dry, because surely you let it sit for a few days, it's not sealed yet and it's not completely cured. So, yes, you can start causing damage and pulling away more paint than you want to. So you want to have a light hand and be gentle. And again, just make sure that you've got fluid movement whenever it starts dragging. Then you know that it's just gotten too dry, and you don't want that to happen. Again, I'm going to lay a little bit of the black into these little corners, and then work them through, feather it out. And in some places, if the wood does begin to be exposed because you're starting to remove the paint, that's really not a big deal either. A lot of times it looks good because it looks like a more natural distress. So don't completely freak out if that happens. And see, I'm wetting the brush because at this stage, a lot of this is the way I want it to be. So I don't want to spray or get overspray on it. And cause it to change in any way. Now this little area right here is rather dry, but as I come back with the water and the glaze or the paint, it's going to begin to rework. So that is okay. I'm rather loving it. All right, so this whole front is done. And yeah, I'm trying to look at it from your angle and make sure it's accurate. Where you see the light is actually light colors. Where you see dark is the dark colors. Make sure you're not catching glare. If you're really not, I'll be sure to post pictures later after this completely dries and I know there's no glare, that we can really see the changes. I think it's looking really pretty. All right, so now it's a matter of just continuing across the entire face. I'm gonna go in here. Another thing with using the color wash, some will ask if they need to do a clear coat first. Typically with a glaze, you want to do a clear coat. With antiquing wax, you do want to do a clear coat. I have not found that to be the case with doing a color wash. I don't know if it's just because it's more forgiving. I really don't know, to be honest. I can't give a great answer. I would almost assume that it wouldn't be a good idea to color wash straight over the paint. But at least with the Weigel paints, I haven't found it to be an issue whatsoever. See, right here, I'm working on that leg where I had that orange coming through. I'll show you on that side too. But the orange, I say the orange, but the orange warm tone wood, this is taming it just enough so it's not bugging me, subduing that look a little bit. And once again, I've got these little crevices right here holding on to more of that wash than other areas. And if you have an area that begins to kind of look like it's taken on too much, wet your brush, begin working it. A lot of times if you wipe over it, let it sit for a second, and then come back, it'll be workable again. I want a little bit more in this area. Yeah. There we go. All right, let's see if I can either. How well can you see that? I kind of want to get like seriously close. I might be able to. That's kind of seriously close, isn't it? I'd rather you be looking down than up though. Hold on. You'll have to forgive me. This is a very different dynamic whenever I don't have you guys asking questions while I work. It's a little bit lonely. Now, I could, if I wanted to, have these set up on something. I think we're fine now. All right. A little bit more down. All right. And so I'm going to take my spray. So this gives you an idea of what it would look like with no wash. We've got the warm wood. You know, wiping away what little bit of wash was over here. Okay. Taking my black, a little bit on the brush, and then kind of wipe it away. And then just begin to work. Laying it on. Getting it in there. Oop. Sorry. And then beginning to just kind of work it and get it where I want. If you continue to fan it, it's going to be a little bit more blended and gradual rather than streaky. If you want streaky, then stop before it begins blending, and you'll have it. I'm going to take a tiny little artist brush. Let's take this one. I'm going to use it to kind of just lay in a little bit more paint. Because there's some areas that I kind of want to take on a little bit more of an antique look. And just lay it in and kind of feather it out. Okay. I'm gonna, there we go. So put it in there and then just kind of go over it to feather it some. I hope that's making sense for you guys. Maybe a little bit in here. Again, feather it through. Now, let's go up a little bit. Don't mind this stuff over here. That's just from where I was sanding. So I'm going to end up going over there and wiping it down before we continue to work. This side, though, has already been wiped. So I'm going to spray. And hope that I didn't mess up my glaze from earlier. Antiquing, whatever. You know what I mean. But it's what we're doing. We're glazing, but we're just using paint to do it with, right? Yeah, I'm going to keep back up again. You can see the full effect. Close your eyes, don't get dizzy. All right. Good. I love this camera because it's so much more clear. It's a higher resolution, but at the same time, a lot gets lost. Hey, the furniture salve worked. I got paint on my nails and I just wiped it right off. And it was dry. Okay. But I can't zoom. That kind of stinks. Okay, I'm gonna spray my brush so we don't alter the finish. It's already on there. And once again, grab some black and begin to work it in. We want it to kind of hang out inside these little areas for sure. I love the way it goes over the gold and just kind of brings it down a couple of notches, like it's been sitting there for like years and years and years. And once again, you can do the striations or brush marks or whatever, or keep going, and then you can have more of a blended kind of antique look. Go under here. We want to make sure that none of the blue is the bright, bold blue that we started out with. Even if we get the deep turquoise coming through, even that should be touched up with the black. So like right here, a lot of that is the deep turquoise. We want that to have the black over it. See, I got spray on it. So I'm gonna work that area again. Darn it. Make sure I have enough water on my brush. So remember, as you continue, you want to use your brush and spray your brush rather than spraying the actual piece. That way you don't mess with anything that you've already done that's already drying. Let me see if I can't wipe this away a little bit to get it back to where it was. I'm fighting the glare now. There we go. I think we're good. Separate there, see? And what the water does is it gets it going again, kind of like I keep saying reconstitute. Is that the word that I want though? But it gets it going again, makes it movable again, and pulls it away. There we go. So you gotta be careful. Look. All right, we're going to keep on moving. I'm shifting my entire drop cloth because I didn't put my rollers on. Always use the rollers. I should know that by now. I always regret it when I don't. And I've got them sitting right here. here. Lift this up. All right. And we're going to wipe it down because remember this side has been sanded and we kind of don't want to incorporate that blue dust into our black color wash. And a little bit of extra distress right here. I decided to go with it a little bit more because right here I had begun pulling away the paint as I was working initially. I made a mental note of it so that I could distress more there as we continued. So I'm going to keep this towards the back. I can always use my brush to move it. And with these panels, they're super easy. Whenever you have it like recessed into the piece, I feel like it's just kind of a no-brainer. It's kind of like doing the blending. You've got the clean, bright color right here, and then in those little corners, you just get the little, why do I have little pieces of, oh, I know what that is. The darkness kind of just settles. So I'm going to be keeping that in mind as I work. And I'm going to do a little more. Because I want it to move across the whole thing. Don't give me any problems. No drag. Hey now, do I see somebody on there? Is there somebody? If you are on there, you have to say hello and just keep me a little bit of company. And once again, as we're working this, remember, don't scrub. Don't overwork it because while your paint is wanting to stay and it's kind of on the way to being cured, it's not going to be 100% cured. You're putting water on it. It's going to want to move. You see? I'm going to take my artist brush and just lay in a little bit of extra paint up here. And this is just paint. It's not watered down or anything. It's just paint from the thing. I'm going to use my brush to kind of work it through. Lay it in there and drag it. I love how the black kind of comes in with even these really bright saturated colors and just gives it a whole different kind of, I lied, I'm going to give it some more water. I want it to move more, I don't want it to stick. Just gives it a whole different look. There we go. I want that to be wet before I do this. Just lay in some black, and again, we're just going to feather it out. Blend it through. Hey Joyce, how are you? I'm glad you could be here. And you're rather new, so I don't know if you caught this in any of the other live videos, but in the groups, whenever we do a live, it's completely different than catching them on a Facebook page that is public. So you're gonna, just know that it's gonna be a lot more quiet, less engaged. These are gonna be much more tutorial-like than let's have a paint party like, which kind of stinks because I miss the engagement, but it is what it is. It's more meant for you to be able to learn than for us to have a paint party, so. It's fine, it's fine. And see, again, I'm gonna lay in that black and then continue to pull it through. And so everything has got kind of this, just this dark haze over it. smoky, kind of like maybe, I don't know, the house caught on fire and this guy sat in the corner while the firefighters put it out. Didn't catch on fire, didn't take on fire, but may have just been influenced by the smoke. Okay, a little bit more dark. I want some of the antiqueness to come in that gold area. I'm gonna bring it across and then fan it through. And maybe up in here a little bit. Make sure the brush is nice and wet. Pull it through. And now we've got this back piece. Woo. Super dark. That's okay. Just keep on working it, kind of like the blending, a lot like the blending. And just keep on pulling it through. Add the color, blend it out. Some more. There we go. I think I want to lay some more back here. Remember, you can use the artist brushes to kind of just lay the paint where you want to, and then feather it out with your larger brush. Or not so much. You don't have to. That's my preference. I like to fan it and kind of feather the whole look out. But then you've got like a lot of the glazed pieces that have very definite little striations of the glazed look. You can do that too, that's fine. And if I want to, I can continue and just kind of dry brush in some more areas. Blend it out a little bit less. So it looks a little bit more, I don't know, grungy. I used to hate kind of grungy look, and now not really grunge, but age, just age. Maybe it sat in the room with the fireplace, gentlemen smoking their cigars. And so now all of this is going to dry at the same rate the paint usually does. So there's going to be a lot less of a wait time. Like this whole front is dry. Not like I want to rake across it, but it's nice and dry to the touch. All right, and there you have it. I'm going to pull this guy around a little bit. Ooh, and try not to mess myself up. Next time I'm going to use my rollers, so I don't have any issues. Is anything going to fall back there? But this is nice and dry. So now you can really see, so like up here, up there, where it's nice and dark and smoky. That's the look that we got. Is a nice smoky kind of look over the whole thing. So it's not one-dimensional. It's not just very, you know, colored inside the lines kind of look. I haven't done the top yet, so ignore this area, although I'm going to hit that because it's bugging me. But yeah, so here we go. That is a color wash for the antiquing effect. I'm going to finish this guy up, and the last thing that we're going to do is get it all sealed, and we will be done. So I hope you join me for that. I will make sure that I get everything set up in the group so that you can go from one video to the next inside the units. If you haven't found them yet, make sure you do find the units tab This gives you the ability to really look at the segmented areas of the group so that you can follow them like you would a chapter book in school. That way you've got specific topics that kind of coordinate with one another. So yeah, I will talk to you guys later. I'm going to get this finished up so that we can wrap up this unit. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.